Hi everyone. I am going to work on a whimsical girl style picture. Show you how I do it. Not sure exactly what I have planned. Don't have anything planned other than it's going to be a girl. And so here we go. And first thing I do is draw a girl. And if you can't draw a girl, trace one. You could take a model off a magazine and trace it. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go off center a little bit because I want a pretty background and do some crazy stuff there. So this being the center, I'm gonna put her like right off center, which is about right here. And let's say her face is gonna be about right there. Now everybody knows to draw an oval, and this is just a regular. I love these little pencils. They're cheap, but they always have a nice thin lead. Don't have to sharpen them. Okay. I don't always do the oval, but since I want this girl to fall in a certain spot on the canvas, it's better to do my oval. Like that, I know where to put her. I'm not going to make a realistic girl. I'm going to make it as realistic as I can, which is not really realistic. So let me put it that way. And of course, you make the oval, divide it in half up and down, and half across. And then there's another line between the middle line and the chin. Be another line, and then another line right here. Now the eyes, I always start with, this is the way I do it, from left to right. So the eye is going to be, and just I draw very softly. I hope you can see this. This of course is like a almond shaped eye here. And let's see, I'm gonna make the pupil, actually the iris is pretty big. She's gonna be a big eye girl. And then the pupil is gonna be about right here. And I want her eye to lift up a little bit right here, and then just come down a little bit here and have the tear part right there. And that is my eye. Now, I can never do the other eye exactly the same, so I have a little trick. And I'm going to take some, this is some tracing paper. Tracing paper or see-through paper, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to trace this eyeball. And I should have gotten it out before, but I do it with a graphite pencil. Any soft pencil is really going to work, but these are the best. The woodless graphite pencils. This is like different hardnesses, but it doesn't matter. I love these. These are the best things to trace with. So I'm going to use that. And because I want to reverse it, I don't need to, I'm just going to copy this really dark. Make a dark line. And she's going to have her eyelid, a little fold right here, and her eyebrow, which I should have done already. Alright, let's see. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it the other side, the other way, and put my girl's eye the same distance from this middle line right here that she is right there, right here. And it's going to be about right there. And now she's going to have perfectly matching eyes. And for some reason I forgot to put that part in. Now, I just thought about doing this, and it's like, why haven't I done this before? Jeez. That solves my problem with symmetry. There's that girl. And now, I'm going to go back over this one because I didn't put her eyebrow on there. And of course, right here, I didn't put this, which she should have had right there. Okay, so that's her eye right there, and her eyebrow is going to go right here. And there. Ta-da! Perfectly even eyes. Now, make sure you have a good eraser. The eyebrows are a little bit too close together, unless I want it to do Frida, which I'm not going to. Not today, Frida, not today. Alright. Now, the nose starts from the eyebrow and goes straight down like this. And right here, you're going to have a nostril. Right here, you're going to have a nostril. Down. There. And right between the nose and the lip is this little hook, like a little fishing hook right there, and that's where your lip middle part is, right there. And we're going to turn the corners up a little bit of the lip. I'm just going to turn the corners up a little bit like that. Should look like she's at least have a little bit of a smile on her face. Okay, there we go. Now I shouldn't have been using this pencil, it's too dark. Oh, and I forgot to put this part right here. And still, for some reason, it doesn't look exactly the same. Now the shape of the face is off. So right here between the eye and the eyebrow, you're gonna have a little curve. You know, it's gonna go like right here. It's a little curve, and then here's another curve out, which is her cheek, and her cheek is gonna round out to about where the mouth is. Okay, which is the mouth is right here. We're gonna round out the cheek about where the mouth is. And then the chin's right here, and it's going to connect where the jaw is. Now here comes symmetry again. If you're not sure if both sides are done the same, then take your paper, decide which side you like best. I kind of like this better than that one. That one tends to stick out a little bit. And I'm just going to trace the face. Okay. And turn it over and come over here. Oh, that's pretty well, let's see, about right there, and it will be even. Yep. All right. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to use a Sharpie. I like to use a Sharpie because I'm going to paint over it, and I don't want it to smear all this pencil stuff. Oh, and her neck has got to connect right about right here. Okay. So I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to follow the outline that I just drew. Let's see, we're going to go here. Now, everyone draws faces differently, although there is like an official formula with the oval and the lines and all that. You do what works for you, what you're comfortable with. And I just recently figured out the whole tracing paper thing to make it symmetrical, which I don't know why I didn't think about that before, but you know. I also learn a lot from different people. Different YouTubers have different styles, and I take the ones that I like, their style, I try to copy that, but also I can never really copy someone else's style. Hush up, girl. That's my kitty cat crying, because I have my own style. Even if I tried to copy somebody else's style, it never works. So anyway, the girl I'm doing now is kind of like something I learned from a YouTuber called Petra. She does a lot of the whimsical girls. I think she calls them imperfect girls. Her imperfect girls. Which I've always drawn pictures of girls, but without looking at our actual girl, like I'm doing now, they never came out really pretty until I kind of, it's mostly in the symmetry. Now you can use a black marker. I'm not going to go down with the nose all the way with the brown marker. I figured the brown marker would blend in better. This is going to be a shadow. It's not going to be a real line, so I'm not going to go all the way down with it. And her lips. Now, I don't like how this one's actually kind of drooping. But we're going to fix that later with all the shadows and things. So this video, not to be too long, I'm going to do it in either 2 or 3 parts. And the time now is 9:18. I don't want to go much more than 30-40 minutes for this. Now for the hair, what should I do about the hair? The hair. I'm just going to do a simple, I want to give her a headband. So the headband is going to go right here. I'm not that good with hair, so having a headband always helps. But this is just the front part of the forehead. You still got to have the hair. The crown of the head is still going to go up here. So let's see. We're going to do, I'm just going to do some wavy hair. Like that. And then her shoulders going to be right here and here. Alright. Now I'm going to take my eraser and erase all the pencil marks and just clean her up. Like that, when I start to paint, it doesn't get all smeared. The best erasers are the white soft erasers. You'll find those in the art department. This is not the best eraser in the world, but it's good enough for what I'm doing. General's tri-tip, which is like it's just a pyramid shape, triangular. That's what I was trying to say, triangular. Okay. It makes a lot of mess. There are other erasers that don't make as much mess. They kind of like clumps it up. So I'm going to take this mess and dump it in the garbage. Alright. Hope you can see that much better than the pencil marks. Check on that. Yeah. Alright. So to start off, I have some cheats. I use flesh tone. You can get flesh tone, just about all paint brands have a flesh tone, which is just an ivory flesh tone. But the real colors of flesh are universal colors, the burnt umber. Now I'm using craft paints, folk art. They're pretty good for craft paints. And they also come in artist colors, which is the burnt umber, raw sienna, and this is golden ochre, but it's yellow ochre. You could do burnt sienna, I believe, is almost the same as yellow ochre. So these are your flesh tones. No matter what skin color you're doing, those are your flesh tones. So don't get crazy, looking for like certain skin tones or anything. This one I use sometimes acorn brown if I want to do a darker girl. But we're going to do a blue-eyed blonde, something like that today. Just make it easy. Okay. The first thing I do is, okay, get rid of this. I'm going to put a light coat of the flesh tone. And let me see, I'm going to move this a little bit here so it's more centered. Going to use a flesh tone. And this is going to be all on her face, solid. Over the eyes, over the mouth, over everything. Even over the hair, you can go over the hair with it too. Now if you're using really heavy body paints, you might want to add a little bit of water to this so you can see the drawing through it. This is just cheap Ceramcoat craft paint, so I'm not too worried about it. I can see her face just fine underneath the paint. smooth it out a little bit. Now I want to do a very colorful background too. Her skin's not touching the background. She's going to have hair. And her hair is, I don't know what I'm going to do with her hair yet. So I'm not too worried about the background right now. Alright. There I have my skin tone. This is the plain skin tone. Now with a little bit smaller brush, and let's see what I have here. I got this one. These two brushes right here I use a lot. They're short but hard. I don't know what these are called. I got them at Hobby Lobby, but they were on clearance, so I'm not sure if they sell anything else like this, but I like these. Or you can use an old stubby brush that you don't mind totally ruining. Okay, I'm gonna go with the burnt umber. Keep the, I don't know, can you see this? Let me check. Yeah. Okay. That's my flesh tone. The burnt umber is going to be the shadow, the deepest shadow, which I have very little. And you only need like little bits at a time because this stuff dries fast. And then I'm going to put some raw sienna. Raw sienna is brown with a little bit of red in it, so it gives me that more of a, I wonder if I got the wrong one. Is it burnt sienna or raw sienna? Oh well, I got raw sienna this time. And yellow ochre. I think raw sienna is more golden. Burnt sienna is the one that's more reddish. Let me see, I have a burnt sienna here. This is burnt sienna. It's just a little bit darker than that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is get a little bit of water. I'm going to have some clean water. Distilled clean water. Oh, and white. Where's my white? Right here. I'm going to do her eyes first because her eyes are or on the inside, and then I'm gonna have to paint the skin around it. So her eyeballs are white, but not pure white. It's kind of like your teeth. Your teeth are white, but they're not really white. So I'm gonna take some white and mix it just a little bit with my flesh tone and just make a very, very pale flesh tone or off-white. And I'm going to paint the white part of her eyes. Like that, her eyes are not glowing white. They look more alive. And if you guys like this one, I could try and make more ethnic girls. Maybe a Spanish girl or a black girl. An Asian girl. I did an Asian girl only once before. It's not that easy. But then that's all really in my head. Okay, see, there's a difference between these two eyes, even though I traced them. Where is my marker? This eye actually goes a little bit closer, like right here. Yeah, that's better. Okay. And Now I'm going to do the inside of her eye, which is blue. I really should brush it. I didn't take the blue out. Here we go. I'm going to use cobalt blue. And just lighten it up a little bit with the white. And I'm just adding it right onto that eyeball color. So it's going to be light blue. And she's going to have light blue iris. Is too soft. I have a better brush for this. I don't know if I said it or not. I'm going to repeat myself like I usually do. But I'm not going to be able to finish this all in one video. And I'm not going to make a 2-hour long video. So I'm just going to make it in separate parts. And that's going to be that. It may be long and boring, but I find if you really want to learn or paint along, it's so much better to do it in real time. And that's just what I'm going to do until I figure out how to edit all this. Okay. Now I'm going to take the full cobalt blue color and trace around the edge. Like that. And I'm going to trace around here. Do a little feathery marks going out. Now these eyes are a lot bigger than someone if you were trying to do realistic. I think a realistic eye to the size of this face is probably half as small. Half the size of this. But I'm not going for realistic, I'm going for pretty and cute. And I'm going to make some lines from the center out. Just make some lines. And this one, for some reason, it's just not like. Okay, let's see. This one came out a lot darker. So like I said, I have issues with symmetry, and I'm going to come over here and keep doing that to this one until they both look a little more alike. Yeah, that's better. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of black, and her pupil's going to be black. Now the top of the pupil, it's not a complete circle. It's going to be like almost like a half circle, a little bit bigger than the half circle, because you got the lid on the top covering that up. Okay, and the pupil's always black no matter what color eyes you have. Now when you're painting with these little tiny skinny brushes, if you thin your paint out a little bit with some water, it goes a lot easier. Or if you have a paint pen, you can always cheat and do it with that. Okay. I'm got my girl's eyes. Now this one, for some reason this one doesn't look all that round. There. That's better. I'm going to take the tip of my brush and dip it in the white and make some highlights, and I'll put a little dot up here and a little dot down here. One on the top right and then lower left. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to put some reflections on the blue part of her eyes, just on the right and the left side. And put some on the bottom too, I suppose. And there, you got your eyeballs done, at least for now. And oh yeah, her tear duct right here, that needs to be a little bit on the pink side. So I got this pink crushed coral, or any red that you have. This is just a soft pink. I like it because it blends well with the skin tone. There we go. It just blends well with the skin tone. I'm cleaning my brush out because I want to take some skin tone and mix it with a little bit of this coral color. And that just gives it to this part of the eye that's kind of fleshy. There we go. And maybe even the inner bottom part of the eye, the bottom lid, just around the edge. There. Okay, now I'm going to just lightly mist this paint that I have here because I got a fan blowing on me and it makes the paint dry really fast. So I just, it's just a water bottle, and I mist my paint on top every now and then so it doesn't completely dry up on me. And let's see, I'm going to grab one of my little scrubby brushes and see how that works. That's this one right here. I'm going to go with the darkest color, which is the burnt umber. Okay, and I am loading up my brush with it, but also kind of like tapping it out. I don't want it like with a lot of paint. And I'm just going to go around the inside of her face and brushing it on like it was a color pencil, almost dry brushing, just really smooth, and just brush, brush, brush on the inside of her face. Now when I get to her eye here, I want to go a little bit on the, just on the edge, like that, like showing some shadow. And then we go over here. Now if you go off her face a little bit, don't worry, we still got her hair to do. We can cover that up. You're gonna put the burnt umber all the way to the neck, right here. When you get to the neck, you want to go underneath the chin, on the neck, in the corner right here, and start smearing it. And go down, 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 and underneath the neck, like so. Now there's other ways to shading the skin. I learned this method I got from Petra. I'm gonna have to ask her if it's okay if I put a link to her channel, but she does some beautiful faces. And I found her way of doing this is a lot easier than the way I was doing it. So you go with your burnt umber, which is your darkest brown, all around the edges, and you just, it's the small part of the edges, all the way around. And then I'm gonna turn this over, and to not really like mess this part up too bad, I a bunch of paper towels. I'm just going to put a paper towel right here, just to keep my hand from messing everything up. Okay, here I'm going to start where the neck starts, in the cheek. And I'm going to go on the inside of the cheek and go around the inside. Now that's looking a little bit darker, so I'm just going to smear it with my finger. And here we go to her eye again, and I'm going to go in. Now you ladies that like to play with makeup, this is a lot like putting makeup on. I've learned how to do, it was helped me a lot too with this, is just watching makeup tutorials, especially the drag makeup, because it's so exaggerated that it's really a good way to learn how to do contour. Yeah, this is what you're doing. You're contouring the face. You contour the face, you make it look more round, more three-dimensional, more feminine. Now I'm going to do the nose, and the nose is the same way. I'm going to start right here on this side, and just go straight down to about right there. See, here's where the nostril is, so you want the shadow to stop right there, even with the nostril, and then kind of like flare out this way. In a triangular form. See, it doesn't take much paint. And then right here, I'm going to stop right there, and then flare out in a more triangular form like this. And then maybe like soften it up right here. And you want to go right outside the nostrils, not too much, but right outside the nostrils. On the bottom of the nose, right underneath the nose. An actual nose tip, like this. And just put a little bit of shadow there. And then you have that little fishing hook on top of her lip. And then you come back over here, and I'm going to smooth that out some more. And then on top of the tip, you have a little shadow that goes across right there. And all I'm doing is just softening those lines. See, this brush is almost completely dry, but it's still got a little bit of color left in there. And I'm just doing very soft. And then like right underneath the curve of her cheek, want maybe a little bit, go in a little bit deeper. That's where her, accentuate her cheekbones. A little bit more shadow, like right here. Oh, and I forgot this side of the neck. Now we're doing this like if the light was coming straight to her face. And that's the direction I'm going with the light, and it's the easiest to think of. If you start out doing them all like this, you get really good. And then if you want to experiment with the shadow with the light coming from a different direction, you can do that. But then you're going to have a totally different look. You're not going to have this line here. You're only going to have this line here, but further out. You're going to have this line probably almost white, where this half of the face is going to be much darker. All right, so that's done. Oh, I forgot one more shadow, and very little paint, and that's the shadow that goes right underneath her lip. She has a little shadow right here, and it kind of curves down. And it's okay if you go into her lip a little bit. And then you could also do a little shadow right here where her smile is. Kind of like a dimple shadow. There. Now you're saying that just don't look too good. No, it don't. Not yet. And then you want to go, your next color would be the burnt sienna. This is burnt sienna? Let me see. Yeah, this is burnt sienna, and this is raw sienna. That's what I thought. Burnt sienna is a little bit more reddish. Raw sienna is more golden. I would go with the raw sienna for a darker skinned person. I'm just going to go for a lighter skinned person, so I'm going to skip the raw sienna and go to yellow ochre. Now this is burnt sienna, which is a reddish brown, and I'm going to go right over that shadow that I just made and blend it in. And just go out with it a little bit further out. And blend it in with the burnt umber. Here I'm going to go into her eyelid a little bit to give her that shade. And just kind of smooth it out. And blend, 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 blend. Now at this point, it's really going to start looking ugly. And you're going to start panicking. But don't. It has an ugly stage. Trust me, it's going to look great. If you find it's getting too dark, wet your finger and just pass it over like this a little bit and dry it. Like that, it's not such a stark line between her face, the skin tone, and the shadows. Okay, there you go. And right here, stop putting shadow until you get to the neck. Neck, you move down the neck and underneath the chin. With the raw sienna. Now, depending on the person's skin color, you can go darker with more thicker line around. If you're doing this on paper, it's a little bit harder. This kind of scrubbing on paper, so it needs to be tough paper. Or put a couple of coats of gesso on it. I had started to do this on paper, and then I decided, no, I better make it easier for myself, at least on a video, so I don't screw it up. And you see how hard I'm rubbing with this brush? That's why you need a stiff, short bristle brush, or an old one. You don't care, it's already messed up, because if you use a good one, you're gonna tear it up. Now this is blending without using glaze or retardant or any kind of blending medium. Just my brush and water. Right there is kind of lighting up a little bit, so I'm gonna put some more burnt umber in here. Paint's not sticking right there because it's not dry, so I'm just gonna leave that alone for now and just let it dry, and continue with my raw sienna and go back under here. And just gently blend this one into the nose on top of that other shadow. Now I'm using a canvas panel for this, and I find the canvas panels are rougher textured than a stretch canvas, which is fine by me because I'm doing a lot of scrubbing. Okay, and that's that one. Now I'm gonna put a little, almost forgot the chin on the mouth again. Okay, put a little bit right here, and a little bit right here, and a little bit right here. And clean the brush. Before I said it was 9:18, now is 9:53. I'm going to stop by 10 o'clock and start another video. Now we're going to use the yellow ochre. Okay, yellow ochre. I'm going to dab some of the excess, and I'm going to start right here where she was. Right there, yellow ochre, and start blending it all together. Just go on top of the burnt sienna and rub it in. Now this is the part that did not take the paint too well, so I'm going to go back over it a little bit darker. There we go. And all sienna. And just blend it in. And yellow ochre. Ooh, it got quiet. Now, this girl's gonna, I'm not really too worried about this part because I think I'm gonna paint a dress on her or maybe glue a dress on her. Not quite sure. And right here, I'm gonna put a little bit of this yellow. Now this part is a little bit darker right here on the other side. Just trying to even things out a little bit. Now this shade right here is supposed to be curved like her chin. All right, now this is what I call the ugly stage. I'm cleaning my brush and I'm going back to the original skin tone. Load my brush up, take some of that off, and start blending from the center out right there. From where the yellow is, you start blending out. And just very lightly, just blend out. You don't want to cover the shadows, but you want it all to blend together. Here. And this starts to bring all those crazy colors you got on her skin together. And this part still is, for some reason, I'm just gonna have to go back over later when it's dry, not just barely dry. And here's when I take my finger, wet it a little bit, and just run my hand over her skin like this. So this part right here, it's not working right now because I probably put too much paint on it to begin with, and it's taken a little bit longer to dry completely than the rest. Okay, so I'm just going to continue this way, and here we go. Underneath, right underneath her eyebrow, her skin's going to be a little bit lighter because this part pokes out. So I'm going to blend. And then on the inside, and right on this part right here, or her eye, is going to be lighter. See, this is why we paint the inside of her eyeball first, because this is, you're going to be painting over her eye, and this just needs to blend. We're not going to put any eye makeup on her other than black liner and lashes maybe. But as far as eyeshadow, I'm going to keep it natural so it's easier for you guys to see. I'm not that great at doing makeup with acrylic paints anyway, not till where it looks like it really is makeup. Just keep it natural colors and just keep blending. And this is my flesh tone that I'm blending in now. Her skin's going to be a little bit lighter right underneath the eyebrow, on the outside of the eyebrow. And her eyelid right here, right on top. And towards the inside. Now, going to her nose. Her nose, you're going to blend this. Blend it out. Noses are the hardest things to do. There's no way around it. Just gotta practice. Practice, practice. You can make it a little easier on yourself and just do a triangle nose. I'm always trying to do as realistic as I can. It's my nature. I can't help it. This is how I learned art. Trying to do more of a whimsical face. Okay, when we get to the cheek right here, it's time to put a little blush. It's gotta have a little blush. So here I'm going to use my pink which is this one. This is crushed coral. And I'm just going to put a little dab of pink on this. It's just going to blend in, and probably dabbed with my finger. The blend, if it's not blending very well like this is right now, it's getting patchy, is because the paint's too wet. But the beauty of acrylic colors, you can just go back over it. I'm picking up some flesh tones, and I'm blending. Now, when you get to this point, she's looking pretty bad. But trust me, you keep working on it, and it's going to come together. It will. I promise you. And you're going to be astounded. And I did my first girl like this, along with Peach's video. Halfway through it, I almost gave up. I was like, ugh, she can't be serious. This is awful. But no, it turned out really nice. I was surprised. And I've been doing my girls ever since like this. Pretty soon I'm going to stop the video. I was hoping I could finish all her skin tones, but I'm not going to be able to. I don't want this to go too long. I'm going to upload this video and then work from here. And I hear my mom going in her room. It must be 10 o'clock. Yes, 10 o'clock. Alright, so I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to let her dry very well. Like that, I can continue doing her skin once she's dried. And this is the end of part 1. And I'm still not sure what I'm going to call her yet, so part 1 of my girl.